Hello, everyone. I would like to give a fair warning. This intro may or may not have been generated with a little help from an online AI tool that starts with a P. I hope you're all excited for our final session of the day. Our next speaker really needs no introduction. After all, most of us have probably used his brainchild to get through a tough assignment, settle a debate, or just go down a late night curiosity rabbit hole. Aravind Srinivas is a co-founder and CEO of Perplexity, one of the fastest growing AI companies redefining how we search, learn, and engage with information. Before building what many call the future of search, Aravind was immersed in shaping the frontier of AI research. He earned his PhD in deep learning at UC Berkeley, worked alongside visionaries at OpenAI, and contributed to foundational advances in natural language processing. At a very young age, he's leading a company that's backed by the likes of Jeff Bezos and NVIDIA, challenging the status quo in a space long dominated by giants. But beyond the headlines and valuations, what sets Aravind apart is his relentless curiosity and his belief that technology, when open and accessible, can truly empower people. Please join me in welcoming Aravind Srinivas. And the session will be moderated by none other than Professor Mohanbir Sani. Welcome again.
Thank you. Well, Aravind, welcome. Welcome to our campus, and you have many dedicated users, including myself. I eliminated my entire case packet. I only have Perplexity pages now for my readings in my product management class. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for this one.
So maybe we get started with your origin story. How you came to where you're at now. What were the steps, and what was the original opportunity hypothesis that you had in your mind when you started this venture?
So this is not meant like the core. Whatever Perplexity ended up being was accidental. Nobody ever starts a company or a product with the aim of taking on such a massive market against the incumbents here. Also, by the way, even if you do want to do that, there's no single venture capitalist who would want to even put a penny on this. They would be happy to back the ideas that are not going to work, but it seems like there's no competitor. Like if you go and say, I'm going to build a Google for lawyers or something like that, and you're a former Googler or OpenAI, everyone's willing to give you millions of dollars instantly because they think there's no rival. So it's a safe bet. In case they actually build a product and get users, it'll work. On the other hand, even if you show a working product, which is a better experience than Google on search, and you say this is what you want to do, the number one thing is going to be how are you going to get distribution? How are you going to make money? How are you going to compete in the space? And they would not put even a penny on this. So obviously I did not have that ambition, neither did I pitch that. I initially thought it would be cool to explore search from a different form factor, which is from Pixel's vision. I wear glasses, so I thought it's a natural form factor to, ask anything about whatever you see. And that way it disrupts the need to type in a question. And so I thought it would be different from Google, and we could work on that. This was in 2022 when, multimodal models weren't that good yet. I think these things can be built today. So one of my first seed investors, his name is Elad Gil. He's very famous. He's backed many unicorns. He rightly told me, look, it's very grand. You're going to run into a lot of roadblocks. Hardware is not there yet. Models are not there yet. So why don't you pick something a lot more concrete and then incrementally make progress towards the grand mission? And that was good. At the end, even if you don't know exactly what you're going to launch, at least start building prototypes and getting it in the hands of people. Instead of ideating on a whiteboard and doing user surveys and brainstorming about what to do, just go and actually have some people use it, and then keep iterating on your ideas. That's the major lesson from the early days of Perplexity. So we built a lot of versions where you could search over spreadsheets or databases, And one database I really like is Twitter. I'm very addicted to that product. So I thought, okay, it'll be cool to search over it, and search on Twitter doesn't, I mean, even then it didn't work. Even now it doesn't work either. So it'll be cool to scrape off Twitter, put it in the form of tables, relational database, and do natural language to SQL. And there were already good coding models back then, like OpenAI had a model called Codex that became GitHub Copilot. So we took that, we built a search using that. So it's a very unique idea of like how to take LLMs and a traditional database and a construct like SQL and marry them together and build a very unique experience. And we showed it to people and they loved it. Like, for example, Jeff Dean used it, and he asked for it. When I sent it to Jeff Dean, and he just asked for a pitch deck, and I emailed a link to try the product and said, if you like the product, you can invest. There's no pitch deck because I told him I don't know how to make one. That's the truth. Even now, I don't make pitch decks. And so then he used it and said, okay, this looks really cool. I've never used something like this before, so take my money. So and once we got him, it was much easier to get other people because he had such a reputation. And then over time, we realized it's more work to build narrower databases and search for one domain at a time. It's easier to do it in a more general way where you take the links and then you make the models do the reasoning, where they could figure out how to write code on top of the data or organize it into tables. You don't have to do all the work beforehand. And so that ended up being the Perplexity Ask Anything. That was what we launched in December.
So I've often heard the concept that you want to disrupt search. What is wrong with search?
Well, search is getting right now, but 2.5 years ago, everybody was just doing 10 blue links most of the time with 15 ads and a lot of different UIs. There's even a joke that the search result page on Google is basically the org chart. They ship the org chart. One team does the knowledge graph, the knowledge panel. One team does the widgets. One team does the ads. One team does the actual.
Now they have the generative AI people also.
Yeah, there's AI overview. There's the modes. There's all these different tabs.
It's a mess.
Yeah, actually, Didi is here. He used to work there, and he told me all the stories. So, so it's real. You can even read blog posts of how, they've literally made you click on things and created a new query just to boost the query volume so that they can go and tell advertisers, oh, we get 8 billion queries a day, not 3 billion anymore, because they just created more ways for you to create queries when not necessary and making advertisers pay more. There's even one of the benchmark partners, Bill Gurley, said this in a podcast where if you go and just search for Golden State Warriors just to get the score of the game, you see a Ticketmaster ad right at the top to buy the tickets, and then you see a Golden State Warriors ad to buy the tickets from their website, and then you see the sports widget. Sometimes the orders differs according to different people, but that tells you the core point. It's the org chart where each person's competing with the other for different priorities. And it's a massive organization with so many different priorities.
So this, and remember the old days when Google started with search, the beauty was it was clean white page with one bar, and below it just said, are you lucky or whatever, or search. So it was, they really started with this premise of a clean UI. And that's what I see now in Perplexity. But then commercials get in the way, right? That gets in the way of the experience, whether it's, and it is really the monetization that creates this mess, and the organization. Promise me you're not going to do the same in 2 years, that I'm going to have sponsored this and buy with us and search, because at the end of the day, you need to monetize.
Well, first of all, we've already done this buy with us and sponsored this.
I'm hinting at getting worse.
So, but we're doing it in a very thoughtful way. That's what I'm very proud of, which is we decided answers and links will never be sponsored. We tested sponsored questions. Okay, after an answer, if there is a brand that wants to get your attention.
As a follow-up prompt,
As a follow-up suggestion, like maybe there's one sponsored follow-up among the 5. Obviously, like, our core loyal users hated it, expected, but I think some of them appreciated the point that, look, at least they're not like trying to do the Google way. And the other thing we tried is on shopping, when you actually ask things like, best shoes or jackets, or some particular electronics, best TV for me, or headphones under a certain budget that has all these properties. We actually give you the most relevant products, but we let you buy directly from there, where we let you skip the merchant's checkout flow. So you don't have to deal with all those pop-ups, shipping costs, and then giving your email address and your shipping address everywhere yourself, and entering your credit card everywhere. Our agent takes care of that. With a mix of human and AI, we take care of like ensuring your checkout flow works. So this is not exactly like buy on us or like letting someone else get more orders through us. It's more to like let the user just stay on us and continue doing their research and not having to worry about all these extraneous things. So we are going to try to do more of these end-to-end experiences on commercial categories, while we try to keep our core user base like happy, which is you're coming here for really
answers,
research and information and answers.
Yeah. Now, in order for that end-to-end commerce experience to be personalized, the more you know about me, the more, best sneakers, but best sneakers for me.
Yeah.
May be different from best sneakers for you. So that means that the better you know me, the more accurate that can be.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what ChatGPT has memory, saved memory. So
yeah.
What are you doing on personalization, and what data privacy issues does that raise?
So I think our perspective to personalization is, I think you can only truly do it with a lot of context.
Yeah.
The ChatGPT approach is very interesting, like looking at your past prompts, and then when you ask a question, retrieving some of the past queries that you've done and contextualizing the answer using that. That'll get you to somewhere, but not truly there. I think our approach is going to be shipping a browser. We're calling it Comet. It's delayed by a few weeks, but it's definitely coming out in May. We've been working on it for the last 5 months, and it's our biggest undertaking since starting Perplexity itself. And so everything you're doing on the browser, different tabs that you're visiting, and where you're spending time on, what are you transacting, all that's going to give us so much richer context to personalize Perplexity for you, and also do agentic actions on your behalf using hidden tabs, so that you don't even have to worry about all these things. So, and of course, every tab in a browser is containerized, so they don't talk to each other. Most of the information we're going to keep on the client side, except for that one particular prompt you task us to do stuff on your behalf, where the information will be sent to the server side. But if you want to do it in the incognito style, we can delete it right after that query is done, so you can still trust us to handle private information. Credit card information doesn't actually need to be put into the prompt. We can generate a new credit card on the fly that's tied to your existing card. So all these problems are solvable in a different variety of ways. Everything doesn't need to be solved with LLMs, and we can get pretty far.
So how, both when you started Perplexity and now with the browser, how do you solve for customer acquisition? You need to get to scale. This is a huge undertaking, taking on Google with the browser, taking them on with search.
Yeah.
What gives you the right to go attack such a big elephant?
Well, someone has to do it. If we all think it's too big to compete against, then they're just going to keep getting bigger. And it's not just me that's concerned about this. The government is concerned. The Department of Justice is concerned. They have everything, like calendar, email, Chrome, Android, YouTube, data centers, TPUs,
GCP,
search, and their own phones. So it's pretty insane. And if nobody does anything about this, then they'll just always win. Not that it's not meant to Google should go down or something. I think they're amazing company. I was very fortunate to be there as an intern, they shouldn't be the only choice for people to get information. And I believe, interestingly, AI has opened up the opportunity for that, for there to be alternatives, like not just Perplexity. Many people use ChatGPT also for getting their answers to basic questions. Sometimes you don't even need web search. Whatever the model tells you is pretty interesting by itself. So I think at least for the first time, we're seeing some genuine change here, where people are going to different tools and not just Google for getting their daily information. And we need to go even further, do assistants, agents, and like browsing, all the stuff that they were once upon a time very good at. If we can do it better with AI, I think there's a chance. Now, your question as to distribution, how do you get users? It's not easy. Like, they don't make it easy for you either.
Yeah.
Android, Google has to be the default search, Chrome has to be the default browser, Gemini has to be the default assistant.
And it would cost you billions of dollars to offer the same deal to a Samsung.
Same deal with Samsung or any of the OEMs. And Apple, you have to pay $20 billion for changing the default. So it is very difficult to like be right there, native choice, without even the user thinking about it. So you have to build your own brand. When you cannot control the defaults, the user needs to be aware of you and seek you on their own. So you have to build a brand and awareness about your product and word of mouth virality. We try to do that through announcements of our product-driven growth is what we've mainly done. Apart from that, we've done something with telcos, where all the carriers have access to millions of subscribers. And so we partnered with them where we let their subscribers get our Pro plan for free for a year. We leveraged our Pro plan, essentially committed to sharing revenue on conversions after a year. In exchange, they would market our product to their
user base. Yeah.
So we've done a bunch of these partnerships with also traditional prosumer companies like Uber, LinkedIn, Uber One subscribers or LinkedIn Premium subscribers. We did it with GitHub. So there's a bunch of things we've done to like create awareness among like brands that have access to a lot of users but are not necessarily competing with us and could potentially offer our service to retain their existing customers better. And we, instead of spending on marketing, spent on inference. When somebody uses our Pro plan, we don't make a penny of their user, potential subscription revenue, it's dollars lost for us. But we would rather spend it that way to get more usage, make things better, more efficient, train our models, make it cheaper, rather than like spend the same dollar budget on advertising where the conversion is not necessarily guaranteed.
So in addition to the browser, and of course now you have the Windows download too and so on, you also have the assistant.
Yeah.
Now, not only is search broken, but assistants are all brain dead. Cortana, of course, died officially, but Alexa is brain dead, and Google Assistant is brain dead. So what is the assistant opportunity?
Yeah, so the assistant opportunity is that if AI can be invoked with just like one gesture, depending on the phone, whether it's an action button or a swipe from the bottom left corner, you can just ask the AI any question. Can be a generic question or can be based on whatever is on your screen.
Contextual question.
Contextually to what you're seeing on the screen. You can annotate your screen and ask things. You can ask it to do stuff, not just ask things. So getting you an Uber or like booking a reservation for you or playing some hard to find YouTube video or song. Like say you wanted to do what is the second most viewed YouTube, can you play the second most viewed YouTube video? Things like that where it would chain together a search call and then a call to the YouTube app, or playing the latest podcast or like some hard to find podcast, you don't remember exactly what. It'll go and search for like, oh, can you pull up the podcast where this particular person spoke about this company? And then it would search that on the web and then find the link to the episode and then get it to you right there in front of you. Or setting smart reminders, 5 minutes before the next Warriors game. Or like wake me up like 5 minutes before my IPL game of my favorite team. These things are like doable already, and that's what our Android assistant did. And it's built on top of all the infra we already have, because it's no longer just RAG search, retrieval augmented generation. That's what we started with, but our pro searches are already like tool calls. Like the LLM looks at your query and decides, okay, I need to call search, but for this particular step of the query. And then the next step, I'm going to do a different query, and then I'm going to call like code execution, or I'm going to write some piece of code to analyze the search results. So it's already becoming like an agent. So you can take all that stuff we already built and say, okay, you're not just going to answer questions anymore. You're also going to like accomplish some basic tasks.
Execute these actions.
And incrementally build towards like more agentic systems. Obviously, we have deep research on our product. You can imagine like shopping agents, travel agents, and then like doing, like I could even imagine at the end, people giving AI tasks like, every few hours, whenever the stock price is down, go and play some trades for me. If you give it access to everything. Of course, the stakes are so high there that you don't want to like do that yet with the current LLM.
Yeah, I was going to follow up on that when you talked about these commerce experiences, agentic commerce experiences, I mean, I need to really trust the damn thing. I mean, when this operator thing is a mess, right? It went and bought $30 worth of eggs for 1 dozen eggs when somebody let it loose because it said emergency shipping is needed. I give you a $50 tip and all that, and my eggs cost me $30, and I never authorized you to do that. So I mean, so when it gets to spending my money, delegating to an agent full autonomy is going to take a lot of trust, and it's also a lot of, it's one thing to hallucinate on a query, it's another thing to hallucinate with my wallet.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, so at what point do we reach that level of maturity that I will actually be able to do agentic commerce?
I think like I think the answer is it's not going to happen instantly. Like it's not going to be like there'll be a model that suddenly solves all these problems in the next 6 months. So what do we do until we get there is the question. I think the answer to that is designing the product in a way where the model stays in loop with the user, putting the human in the loop, actually giving them all the agency and verifying or clarifying things. So, hey, it looks like this is what I'm going to do. Can you
pull the trigger?
Right? And over time, you start building trust. Like it's like you hire a new student for a lab, or there's a new intern in your office. Obviously, interns break production. It's a joke, right? Like if somebody's product broke, the moment the tweets are always like, which intern did this? And that's just a joke to say like experience is lacking. And I think this is going to be the same case with AI. So you're not going to instantly delegate the most highest stakes tasks. In this case, like $30 eggs is fine, but let's say.
By the way, eggs are $30.
Eggs are getting expensive, so it might actually not be not that big a deal. But let's say it placed $1,000 worth of toilet paper orders. It was probably useful during COVID, but not anymore. I think that sort of things you need to just set a budget that it can make its own decisions. And then the product should be designed in a way where it forces the user to make these choices before delegation.
Guardrails and threshold. Just like in algorithmic trading.
Yeah, exactly.
You have limit orders.
Yeah.
You put constraints on.
Yeah, exactly. Also, in this case, there's not really a difference between building a really good product and building the right guardrails.
Yeah.
These are not two separate questions anymore. The best product will automatically think on behalf of the user and ensure that all these things are part of the onboarding process.
Let's turn the conversation to India. So, at Geo in India, or I'm on the board, we have been sort of grappling with the question of how do you get generative AI tools in front of 500 million subscribers at a cost that when the ARPU is $2 a month, I can't charge them $20 a month for generative AI. So, help me solve two problems in the Indian context. I want to drive the cost of inference down 2 to 3 orders of magnitude, just like we did with the cost of wireless. We drove it down from $15 a gigabyte to now it's 5 cents. And I want to figure out how to offer this in 22 languages where the training data doesn't exist and the tokenization tax is 600%.
Yeah. As for cost reduction, I think you can already see that it's trending towards that direction.
Yeah. But wherever the US is, India needs to be 1/100th or 1/10th.
Well, I think the thing is that unfortunately, intelligence is pretty universal. Like, it cannot be cheaper just because it's in one country, right? The model is pretty universally generally capable, and the magic of all these models is that it's in its reasoning ability, and if you take that away and just focus on multilingual skills, it's decent, but it's not going to be great. And where people are really deriving value from AIs today is like a lot of work tasks that feel challenging, and then you just use the AI and it just gets so easy, right? Including learning new languages or like figuring out a new problem that you're trying to solve. All these questions, brainstorming, learning new concepts. So I think we should expose Indians to the best product that has the best reasoning capability and so on. I would just make a prediction that whatever is the cost today for all the most cutting edge reasoning models, it's definitely going to come down at least by one order of magnitude over the course of this 1 year, coming year. Now, by the time that happens, would there not be another model that's making this current models look so weak relative to that? I think it's hard to bet against that too.
Yeah.
So I would just say that try to GPT-4 quality models, which were considered like a breakthrough last year, can already be made free for all Indians. It's already been made free by American companies. So that should already be in the hands of everybody. The more reasoning-oriented models that do actions,
are expensive.
I think that can wait for a bit. What can we do in the Indian context? I would say really invest in companies that are super focused on distillation.
Distillation, yeah.
I think that progress hopefully transcends India too. Since there is a bigger need to solve this problem for India, since the ARPU is so low and the volume is so high, I hope there are some techniques that we build in distillation there that become broadly used.
Deepseek.in.
Maybe a different name, but yeah. But definitely, we need that, and there are great open source models to begin with, including DeepSeek, by the way. Great open source models, and one of the reasons DeepSeek created this level of attention for itself is it actually nailed distillation.
Yes.
And that's why you look at Gemini 2.5 Pro, the latest Google model, it's 6x cheaper than Anthropic's Claude 3.7 Sonnet, and crushing it on all the benchmarks too. That's pretty amazing, and I think that's an artifact of really good distillation work, as well as Google having hardware advantages in TPUs. So India, I would say investments into distillation and building their own data centers, so that they can do their own lower cost inference with some custom specialized inference chips. I think all these things are essential.
And open source.
And building on open source models. All these things are essential to bringing down the cost. So I believe Reliance is already looking into these things.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So you've talked implicitly about sort of how fast the landscape is changing, whether it's the Moore's law effect or the models improving. And you also at Perplexity have abstracted from the model layer and the LLM layer. You can connect to a different. So tell me, where is competitive advantage and how do you sustain it in this world that is sort of evolving so quickly? And what's your moat?
Yeah, I'm still figuring it out. I think...
Does your moat have alligators in it?
I think moats are very difficult to build in a very short period of time. In my opinion, no AI company that was started in the last 2-3 years has any moat. It might seem like it for at least for a few months, and they get to raise funding rounds, but it's pretty difficult to have a true long-term moat built in a short period of time. Take OpenAI itself; it's been around for a decade. It's not a very new company. Even now, some people argue whether they have a moat or not.
Future or not, yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. So it's very difficult, and it would be unwise for me to say answer the question with a specific example of what our moat is. That said, I would say where do we plan to build our moat is like being the front end to experiencing all the AIs, and gathering all the data and like using that to our advantage to make things cheaper, faster, and more efficient. And like benefiting from the commoditization at the model layer. So everybody like agrees at this point that models are getting commoditized. There's always like some great model from a frontier lab company that makes people believe it's not the case, but then within a month or two, costs come down very quickly, and then everybody tries to go and match it, and it's a race to the bottom there. So everyone agrees that app layer is important, owning the customer, the user experience, all their context. You can only truly build a personalized assistant if you have all the context of the user. And context is not just living in the past queries on your chatbot, it's everywhere on the web, mobile apps, OS. So you need to actually go beyond just building one application. So that's why we decided to work on the browser, the assistant, and this is the way to go. And if we manage to be the best company that orchestrates web search, your personal context, your browsing activity, the work that you're doing on your mobile phones, all in like one place, and answer anything you want about anything, and also start doing stuff for you, basically helping you make money and helping you save money implicitly, I think we can build a very valuable company. But that's going to take time. So until that's done, there is no moat.
So let me now ask the business model monetization question in two ways. One is as we go towards an agentic framework, butts and seats and subscription doesn't make sense anymore. You have to go to some sort of consumption-based models. That's one sort of, I want you to comment on your subscription versus consumption. The other is that, do you see Perplexity as a Google-type company that basically monetizes advertising, or do you see it as an enterprise software company that starts to build enterprise solutions like a Microsoft or an SAP? So enterprise versus consumer, subscription versus consumption.
I think like we'll probably be more not like the OG Google, like the ads business. Most likely not, because everybody knows that everybody has already gotten a breath of fresh air, a product that's not cluttered, free of ads, getting you directly what you want and doing stuff. I don't think you want to go back to that old world again. That feels very dystopian. I think consumption-based is interesting. The fundamental blocker right now, I believe, for consumption is actually reliability.
No.
If you hire, it's essentially this, like, are you hiring someone for an hourly rate, or are you like paying them a yearly salary? The second thing is more like subscription. The first thing is more like consumption based, and it really depends on the task. I would say if you want a generalist who does a lot of different things, you wouldn't be able to get them for like few hours. But if you want like a specialist to do this one particular thing, one-time task, you would just want a consumption-based pricing. But the reliability needs to be so high for the one particular task, one-time payment thing. Otherwise, you're not going to go back and do the same thing again. So retention will be low on that revenue. And I think that's what's stopping AI companies today, at least the consumer AI companies today, to like get into that sort of a market monetization. I think there are some coding assistants like Cursor that are already trying this for enterprise, where they don't just charge you for the dollar per seat, but also based on how many tokens you're consuming, primarily because they don't have margins. Because most of the coding is such a long context problem, and everybody is just like asking the AI to like look at their entire repository and like help them complete multiple files. So you quickly run out of the context windows. And so you need to actually like charge people on tokens, or else like the model providers are just going to make all the margins.
Yeah.
I think that's one place where consumption-based pricing seems to work, because at least it's able to edit files. Even though a lot of people complain the quality of code completions of these AI assistants is not actually like good. The abstractions it's coming up with is like pretty poor, and it's introducing more bugs, and it's actually taking more time for human engineers to go clean it up. At least for the wide programmer, it's pretty good. So we are beginning to see that, but not yet in like mainstream products like ChatGPT or something.
So they tell me our context window has expired, so we'll take questions from the audience. Yes, sir.
Do you see any disadvantage of not owning the device space? Like with the wearable smartphone, Apple is controlling the whole ecosystem. So what do you see as a threat to build without device to understand the personalization?
Yeah, I mean, if I want, I would love to build an Apple competitor, but it is true. Everybody talks about how competing with Google is already hard. Even Google has never managed to build a phone that has made a lot of people in this room switch from their iPhone, right? Everybody still likes showing off their MacBooks, their iPhones. It's a status symbol. So I think that's something very hard to crack. Yes, they have like all the high per capita income users. It's very difficult to put an AI on the Apple ecosystem that has access to all your usage across apps and your data and build true personalization there. But the nice thing is, a lot of activity that happens on a daily basis, be it work or life, is happening on the browser, even more than the OS, right? Like you have email clients in the browser, you have workspace documents and sheets and things like that on the browser. So that's the reason we decided to build a browser. It's essentially a containerized OS. And so if it actually begins to work well for you, we can build mobile versions of that and pair it with our mobile app and take advantage of some of the cookies we already have for you on the desktop side and try to bring it to your phone to personalize better.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. Aravind, thank you so much for bringing such a bold perspective and giving the confidence not to be scared about some of the big tech companies are doing, but be bold about your purpose. I have a question about, as we were talking, that in India, there's a very strong need for deep tech innovation. What was your motivation to start Perplexity here in the US than in India? And if you allow, I have another follow-up question on similar lines. When you think about scaling the Perplexity, I mean, of course, you would need a lot of people, a lot of brains. What are the things that you're looking into those people, especially in this early stage in Perplexity?
Yeah, definitely there's a need for deep tech in India, no question about it. And I think the government is also encouraging that, right? I saw some quote from a minister that said, we don't want another delivery app. We want DeepSeek-like things, right? So it's a nice provocative way to encourage people to build the next DeepSeek there in India. Why did I do this? I mean, I was already here, I'd done my PhD here, worked here, and built my network here. Since I came here in 2017 and I started the company in 2022, it had already been 5 years or something, PhD plus internships plus first job. So I thought it's easiest to get started here, and also, like I said, venture capitalists already don't want to fund a brave idea even here. They're pretty risk averse. Imagine that 10x worse. That's the case of venture capital in India. The reason everybody goes and does the next delivery app is because that's probably where the funding goes, and that's what the current VCs in India do. And they're not they come and tell we don't have a DeepSeek, but are they actually willing to fund and lose $100 million on 5 bets that go wrong and make $1 billion on something that goes right? I think the answer is no right now. So that also needs to change.
Yeah, I think his answer was in his first sentence. He was already here. And so were the investors, and so were the Stanfords and MITs and so on. That's that whole ecosystem. Deep tech is a very different gestation period. It's a very different mindset, and you need to have intestinal fortitude, which the VCs still need to develop. That said, there is a lot of good deep tech stuff going on. Don't get me wrong. There is stuff. Yes.
Hey Aravind, great work. I honestly believe we all are inspired by your work.
Thank you.
And I just checked on Perplexity how long I have been using. So I've been using it from December 2022. And
Oh,
it
since
has
the time we released.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Namaste Global is our initiative, so we prefer anything which is been done by an Indian origin. We use that.
Appreciate
So
it.
this is how it started. And I was just doing the consulting work, but the amount of help Perplexity has provided us has been great. Now, as we all are talking about, India hasn't delivered an AI stuff. We are about to start work on the AI, which is called as Guru, for India, where India can prosper globally. However, I don't come from a tech background is one, and you just mentioned that if you have a specific problem, you should not start, you should just start, right? So my first question is, not coming from a tech background, what should be my way out? And second is, I have found the gap during this last 15, 20 years, which I want to, of course, do it through AI for India. So how should I solve it?
Yeah, I think this earlier people would need a technical co-founder and kind of start the company together. I genuinely think that's not needed anymore. It's not something I'm just saying to hype things up right now. I genuinely think that the need for even a software programmer in the beginning is not really there. You can start with one of these AIs that can build a prototype for you pretty quickly. The people call it as vibe coding, but you start with give it very detailed prescription of what your app should be, and then it'll be buggy, so you can ask it to keep fixing the bugs, and 10 or 20 different iterations you end up with something usable, and you can share that. And you don't even need to build a front end. You can make it a bot on one of these platforms like Telegram or WhatsApp or Discord, so that you don't even need to deal with the front end or back end or logging or any of these things. And just see if there's some signs of life. If people are coming back and using it next week or week after. If there is some retention that's non-zero, then you have something real. And then you increase that retention percentage to double it maybe. And then you have something way more solid. Then you can go and raise capital to expand it and scale it up.
Thank you. And we have applied for Perplexity for startup. I hope you approve us.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me? Oh.
I'll try to speak up.
So I have a few requests when I'm asking questions. 30 seconds or less, put a question mark at the end of it.
So you mentioned monetization as one of the challenges. If you thought about a B2B approach to making your platform available for folks to sort of use it to integrate search into their
Yeah, we do this in two ways right now. One is we have an enterprise product, Perplexity Enterprise Pro, that lets you use the same Perplexity front end with SOC 2 compliance, enterprise security, user management, all that stuff, and connecting to internal data like Google Drive or OneDrive, SharePoint, Box, Dropbox, all these different things. And we're going to keep adding more connectors. This is the same thing I said, which is really contextualizing the product to the user. And that's growing actually. It's we have only 3 or 4 salespeople, and it's already in 8 digits in revenue. And there's also an API product we have where you can get LLM completions along with citations. So essentially think of a search API that gives you links and answers together. That's also growing really rapidly, has 6x since the beginning of the year for us, and another product that we plan to sell in bigger volume to enterprises. And there's a lot of verticalized applications people can build with it. You can build agents that can use the web, so this can be a part of one of the tool calls. So we plan to we have an API for our deep research as well, so people can build cool applications in finance or other verticals.
Hey, my name is Maulish Trivedi. I'm an AI and robotics engineer, and I think I might have the most consequential question you answered today.
Okay.
Yeah, who do I talk to get those Perplexity coffee mugs on your website? You're out of stock of them. Genuine question. I want those mugs.
I believe it's ours because of the tariffs, by the way. No, I'm not actually kidding. The reason we went out of stock and because I think it's made in China. And
He's from there. I can send him.
okay, yeah, we'll get it back. We'll get it back. So
But jokes aside, I think you answered my question on the AI first phone. But I have a quick question on your distribution part. At what point did Google become a verb, and how does Perplexity get there?
I don't think perplexity will be a verb. It's a pretty complicated word. So
Do you get to that point where it's a day-to-day?
I guess like solving all these problems, like what the professor and I were discussing, which is doing stuff and being a reliable assistant. I think that's the thing that hasn't been solved yet. While we were the first to do answers with sources, like everybody else is doing it, and I don't think that's going to be like one company getting the verb for it. So I think the next step, honestly, is to build actions and assistants and like agents that go and carry like long research tasks for you. So all that stuff is where if we excel at it, we can definitely become a verb there. Yeah.
Yeah. You can become a verb for tasks. Get stuff done, and that's a lot of searches put together. We could go on and on, but we have places to go and promises to keep. So and searches to do and answers to get. So thank you so much, Aravind.
Thank you.
Fascinating discussion. Yeah.
Just wanted to
Wait, he has a...
yeah, actually,
Wait, we forgot.
my team didn't want me to leave without telling you this. So we have like a referral program going on for campus programs. So you can sign up. You get 1 month of Pro for free, and then you can also, if you refer anyone and they sign up, every person you refer, you get 1 more month of Pro, and up to 24 months, so up to 2 years. And like, if you go,
This is where your mug is.
yeah, 1,000 referrals, you can get a MacBook. 500, you get an AirPods Max. So just your chance to win. Thank you.